Woke Patriot in this mug. Oh, I didn't see the screen's black. Shit. All right. Okay, that just doesn't hurt. Exactly, Leon. I like to catch them like flies in a web. Hey, everybody. What's up? What's up? All right, big props to Purple Posse there. Welcome, everybody, to the News Underground. I am your boy, Abandoned Nihilism, reporting from the forest. Holy nutsack. Let's turn this down here. How you doing? As you can tell, it's cold as shit out here. I'm stone cold, yo. I'm cold stoned. We call it the bush in Canada. That's where I'm at. Get your shit straight. Sorry, Davins. I'm new to the Canadian thing. Now, laptop ain't overheating here, I tell you that. You'll see it'll start to rain as well. But no, folks, I'm out here in Victoria. Beautiful Victoria, Canada. Little outside of Victoria. In an area called Sooke. S-O-O-K-E, I believe. Wife wanted to get out of the house. Here we are. Canada having actual functioning, yeah, legitimately, not just like it doesn't seem to be the same as the UK there. Sorry, folks, I should have smoked first before I started. Reporting live from the Fallout Shelter. Hey, big props to Blessed Up Kid, Leon, Davin, Chem Goblin, Woke Patriot, getting in here right off the bat. Sorry I don't have my soundboard. I'd be giving you applause right now. Here in the UK, we have gray belts protecting car parks no longer in use as green belts. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, Canadians fight hard to protect their green belts, and seeing the situation in the UK, I can see why. You can do manual applause. Is that what you want me to do? Yay! Yay! All right, that's what you want. Literally clap like a seal. All right, folks, let's get to it. Big props once again to Purple Posse and also Static Error. We got an AMV here, Bloodlust. What is this from? I can't. Is this from? Oh, what is this from? Can't quite remember the anime that this is from. Remember animated music videos? Remember when that was a big deal? All right, folks. We're going to be covering Ukraine, U.S., and Israel, Gaza, and of course the protests that have been happening across the world, really, but mainly in the United States, where it should be happening. So it's good to see it happening in the place where it should be. And I got to say, though, it's kind of happening a little late, if you ask me. Kind of playing some catch up here. Welcome back, Trailhead. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Vampire is indeed a smash. Indeed. It's so hot here. Yeah, yippee! Okay, all right. Guys, I hate to do this to you, but it is in fact. Hold on, the joke isn't good yet.
It's NATO time, Jack.
Oh, it's NATO time, Jack. Mo, mo, mo. Mo, mo, mo. It's NATO time, Jack. No, and it's interesting news here. NATO, or Sweden, announcing that it has fully integrated its military already, wasting zero time to get going there. NATO has, or Sweden has basically immediately fully integrated with NATO, whatever the hell that means. I'm not quite sure what fully integrated means, but I assume it's just all the little puzzle pieces are in place. And once again, I just need to point out that, is there music here, or we're just gonna go quiet, go CP times? Is that what's gonna happen? Oh, there we go. But no, so Sweden wasting no time, and once again, you gotta think to yourself, what's the hurry? Why are they hurrying? You'll have to excuse me. It's going to be a little bit more pokey. I have to kind of switch between screens. I have a single screen here. So it makes things a little bit more difficult. So I apologize. It was too cold to protest the genocide in the winter. They had to wait for spring. Oh, for the protesters, yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes it can take a little while for. I mean, it's not just an American phenomenon. A lot of people, they're just like, oh my God, it's like. It has to get really bad to justify it interrupting your life, because it's not like you're being selfish. It's survival. It's survival out here. If you don't spend time on number one, no one will. The government isn't going to back you up. Your what used to be your village, that they're not backing you up. So it's hard. It's hard for people to get this in their schedule. And a lot of the time with a lot of these progressive movements, which is probably, it starts with students, which is probably why we're seeing the extremely brutal crackdown, hoping to, nip this in the bud right where it is, and hoping that it doesn't spread. Hey, Daniel, greetings from Sweden. Yeah, so hey, congratulations over there, Sweden. Strengthens alliance with full military integration already achieved. Now, I read in the comments section of Reddit, which that's its own thing. But I did read in the comments section that apparently, sorry, that was disgusting. That apparently Sweden is very, the Swedish military is very disciplined. They got their shit together. I'm not going to read this because it's like fucking, NATO fucking propaganda. So if you want to read this, you're welcome to. But I just wanted to talk about the headline. Unfortunately, Daniel Blixt, I think this is my only NATO-Sweden related story, so I apologize that we're going to be moving away from this so quickly. It's so nice of you to visit. Do you have any comments you'd like to let us know from a Swedish person, how you feel about joining NATO and and this extremely fast military integration? Do you consider Russia a threat? Do you consider Russia? Like this is necessary action, you know what I mean? Because I gotta imagine I'm quite neutral about joining NATO. Wow, a Swedish person being neutral, man. What? Where's my soundboard, dude? Where the fuck is my soundboard? Oh, well, that's very Swedish of you. Could you tone down the Swedishness a little bit here? I think I can taste the meatballs in my mouth. Maybe that's something else. Okay, Daniel, well, you're quite neutral on that. So you don't really consider Russia to be an existential threat quite yet, right? Most analysts point out that Poland is really going to be the first target if Russia ever dares to attack NATO. So I could see why. All the same, it seems like Sweden seems to be changing its tune. Yeah, Swedish meatballs are fucking delicious. So once again, Danielle, very sorry that I'm moving on, but thank you for your opinions. And thank you for your comments. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of the News Underground if you want to stick around. What is the national? Is it the Smørbjorg? Is it that stuff that makes people puke? That fish that makes people puke? Is that the national dish? So moving on to our next story here. Now, of course, that was really more about Sweden, but NATO, obviously Ukraine adjacent. So I thought I'd put them together. But here's our first real Ukraine/Russia story here. And I wanted to start it off with talking about this hero from Siberia. Two of them. One of them pictured here. She's putting up anti-war graffiti, and she's paying the price. Military court in Siberia has handed prison terms to two teenagers over graffiti they painted protesting Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Alexander Snetskov, 19, and Lubyov Litsunova, maybe a couple at age 16. They might have been a couple here. Good job, guy, getting your girl wrapped up in that. Maybe she's the one that dragged him over there, actually. We're sentenced to 6 years. This is just so harsh. 6 years, I think, for the guy, and then 3.5 for her, respectively, on April 25th. A third defendant in the case, Vladislav Vichnevsky, age 20, was handed 18 months of work in an industrial facility to be designated by the authorities with the deduction of some portion of his salary by the state treasury. Wow. So they're going to literally give him a job. You can't leave. You got to work at this, probably an ammo factory, and we're going to garnish your wages. Wow, that's an interesting... I mean, that tells you about the wartime footing right there, that they're doing stuff like that. Snezkov told RFE-RL earlier that he and maybe that's an indication of that. That might have been a rule that already existed. I shouldn't run my mouth like that. So Snezkov told RFE-RL earlier that he and Lizunova wanted their graffiti to express their opposition to, quote, repressions and war in Ukraine. To read the original story, yada, yada. So if you want a link right here. And once again, I wish I had my soundboard because I'd be hitting that applause button real damn hard, folks. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is steps 1, 2, and 3. This is how you want to, if you're step 3, which is of course action. After you've gathered intel in step 1, after you've decided where you stand in step 2, step 3 is action. And if this is how you choose to represent yourself, skirting the law, challenging empire in this very direct way, my hat's off to you. You are an absolute hero. So thank you so much to this wonderful person who's standing up for what she believes in, standing up for humanity, standing up for Ukrainian democracy, in the most dangerous place to do that. Okay, this isn't, it's not like standing up on a soapbox in Ohio and telling everybody you support Ukraine. That's about as easy as it gets. No, this is legitimate activism where it matters, and she's going to pay the price, all 3 of them. Commenting on NATO propaganda, Swedish military is very good, but number in small, so good quality, but not good quantity. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Welcome back, Tisriel, the Swedes. What do you mean NATO still doesn't have laser weapons? It's still, yeah, when do we get that really good shit that you guys have? No, that's all we got. We got 155 millimeter artillery shells for you. What are you talking about? For real? Give me that good shit. That's what you got. Oh man, there was a spider underneath this table that I was watching, and he's fucking gone, dude. And like, he could be on me. I could have a fucking spider on me right now, dude. He's got this little web. I knew I should have scared him away before I started. Oh my god, there's a fucking spider. There's a Canadian spider somewhere, dude. Alright, so I'm just gonna deal with a spider as it comes. If you see me completely flip out and like flip the table up, that means that I think there's a spider on my face, okay? There's a reason. I'm not hallucinating. I was watching the spider. He was right here, he was chilling, doing a spider thing, you know, hanging out in his web. Oh my god, I feel it on my leg. Oh my god. You know when you think you have, you know, it's like you see a bug and then you start feeling it everywhere? Oh my god. All right, so anyway, moving on to the next story. That's your agent. Yeah, thanks a lot. So this is just absurd. Guys, bad news. Oh no. Russia says it may downgrade ties with the US if its assets are confiscated. Really, that's what that's the straw that broke the camel's back, yeah? That's the limit, guys. That's it. Yeah, I know. Downgrade where exactly? I mean, they only claim that we're in full-blown war with the United States and NATO. But hey, guys, we're gonna downgrade for real now. Come on now, we're gonna downgrade our relationship if you take our assets, which is shocking to me that they haven't. It really shows just how deep this geopolitical game can go. You know, you can obviously be enemies, but there's layers to it. It's like a layer cake almost of severity. And it's amazing to me that the Russia and United States haven't hit this severity. Shocking to me that Joe Biden hasn't done this. By assets, I think they mean assets of oligarchs and Putin, all these pieces of property. And maybe corporate interests and stocks, who knows, all kinds of things that are owned by Putin and Putin's friends. So it's interesting to me that like this is the straw that'll break the camel's back, right? Okay, I mean, fully funding and arming military opposition, getting hundreds of thousands of my troops killed. I mean, that's one thing, right? I mean, come on. But taking my mansions and my yachts and, taking my buddy's mansion and yachts and his bank accounts. Oh, that's too far. That's too far. Kind of bananas, if you ask me. Kind of interesting, and obviously the United States and Joe Biden are aware that this is a big deal, because it's shocking to me that they haven't done this. You would think this would be day one shit. Oh yeah, all your mansions and yachts and property and bank accounts. Oh, that's gone immediately. That's going immediately over to Ukraine. Never forget, brother. I hope you're not a fucking right-winger. Are you a right-winger, brother? Did you see the beard and the tags? And oh no, you thought it was a safe space? Uh-oh, I think he did. Either that or he's cheering on Ukraine. Oh no. Oh no. Brother, I hope you're not a right winger, buddy. Me without my soundboard. Why do I not bring my soundboard on these trips? God, I'm an idiot. It's so small. I can put it in my bag. All right, whatever. So anyway, moving on here. If you want to read the rest of this, that's fine. I'm not going to read the article on this one. Whatever. They downgrade our ties. Whatever. Okay. We should be allowing NATO to go in there and buttress the North. I mean, what are we talking about here? Escalation. I guess there really is a concern that Russia is going to bust out the really bad chemical weapons if NATO or the United States gets involved. There's no really good way around chemical weapons, is there? I mean, you can equip people with masks and things, but some of the shit is so nasty, it just, you can't really avoid it. This stupid fucking game. Hundreds of thousands of people getting murdered. And these motherfuckers talking about their goddamn assets. My icon in Discord is a flag with a crown jewels and a sword. You're the most left-wing one here. You never know. No, it's true. I shouldn't have berated him. He's been utterly quiet, Mr. Brother. I don't even know if he's still here. Like, fuck this liberal. Fucking cuck. Time to go, cuck. Yeah, okay, so that's the wrong button. Didn't mean to press that. There we go. I didn't know this guy worked for Newsmax, which, you know, once again, I wish I had my soundboard. I'd be doing the Price is Right. So I didn't know this guy works for Newsmax. I guess that explains the cigar and the general swagger in which he kind of holds himself. Whatever, you know, I'm smoking weed over here. I can't judge about the cigar. He certainly loves to have the cigar in his videos. And interestingly, watch, you know, he gets so concentrated on his rant, he totally forgets about his cigar. And look how far it burns by the end of the video. With that said, I haven't really seen him do kind of like, you know, blatant right-wing propaganda. And I've seen him be friendly to Israel, especially, you know, right after October 7th. I saw him, you know, being, you know, friendly to to Israel. But I've also seen him, you know, at least recently, do videos about the failure of Israeli strategy, yada yada, in Gaza. So it's, you know, he's definitely not one of those guys that is for Ukrainian lives, but for some reason is ignoring Palestinian ones. That doesn't seem to be the case with him. So he's not fitting that right-wing mold. But with that said, homeboy's working for Newsmax, which, I mean, it's a paycheck. I'd be tempted if Newsmax said, "Hey, you want a show? we like your shit. You want a show?" I'd be like, maybe. I don't know. I think I hear my oh, I think I hear my own stream. So I'm going to try to mute that. Sorry if you hear an echo. All right, let's get it here.
I want to talk about isolationism, Ukraine, and Newsmax. You know, isolationism is kind of weird. It's kind of like building the walls of your fortress so high that you can't actually see beyond them to the threat that's outside. So here's Moscow, and its border is roughly 1,600 miles. And between this border and Moscow, you got nothing but tundra. You got no mountains, no rivers, nothing to stop an invasion. So if you take Ukraine, now you've got the Carpathian Mountains down here. Now you've got about 700 miles to defend. Then you take
You didn't hear an echo? Okay,
and now
thank you.
you have maybe 200 miles to defend. And that's the
sorry
plan.
about that. Oh,
You
the vid was
Ukraine,
black when I was
you
doing
take
that?
the
Damn it.
Baltics.
Okay,
We're
sorry,
already
didn't know
fighting
that.
World War III, but if you want to fight,
It was black because I can't go full screen. When I can take the video and put it into full screen, I can do other things in the background. But if I can't, because it's a vertical fucking video.
World War III harder, wait until Russia takes Poland. I go on Newsmax and I do military.
All right, so yeah, so then he talks about Newsmax. So real quick, let me just show you the visual that he had here, because that is a really good visual. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah. I'd love to, you know, to move it along like normal, but
Actually see beyond them to the threat that's outside. So here's Moscow, and its border is roughly 1,600
this is a
miles.
mess.
Between this border and Moscow, you got nothing but tundra. You got no mountains. No
God damn it,
rivers,
I'm doing it
nothing to
again,
stop
aren't I?
an
Son of a
invasion.
bitch, sorry. Damn it, I'm doing it again.
Mountains down here. Now you've got about 700 miles. Then you take Poland, and now you
This is a
have
total
maybe
mess.
200 miles. And that's the plan. You take Ukraine, you take the Baltics. We're already fighting World War III. But if
Yeah,
you
so
want
he's
to
just
fight
he's pointing out that there's a geopolitical.
Go on Newsmax,
I thought I
and do
paused this, son of a
military
bitch.
analysis.
So he's just pointing out that there is a geopolitical advantage to taking Ukraine, Poland, Lithuania, in terms of, you know, how you reduce the amount of border that you have to defend against NATO. It's obvious setup for something much larger. So I'm not going to make you listen to it a third time, but that's the basic gist of that video. Sorry once again about the production. I only have one screen here. I got to get used to it. Yeah, welcome back, Carl. I'm outside. It's actually warmed up a little bit. Gonna get my... There we go. Looking sexy. Okay. Once the wind starts going, it really cools down. If you give me the link, I can give you a normal link. Nah, I'm not fucking with that. I don't fucking care that much. I mean, I care. Give me a thing like archive.is where I can just put the link into another thing and then it makes it work. So this is an interesting article from Chem Goblin. Thank you, Chem Goblin, for your contributions in the Discord, as well as Woke Patriot and Davey, strategy member, and a person named L. But this is a pretty interesting one, and this shows what I've been talking about in terms of Ukraine. Ukraine needs to go into a total war stance and stop fucking around here, because we have families that are asking very legitimate questions about when are these guys thanks, Leon. When are these guys going to be able to come home? They've served. No, brother, I'm not on the front lines of the protest activist movement right now. I'm actually enjoying a vacation. Where's my soundboard? Boo, boo. No, so this is, I'm just outside because I can smoke weed out here. So, but you should go protest. I'm laughing because I'm not being ironic. I do think everyone should get their ass out there and get to protesting, if they can, or do something like this, right? Get the word out. Try to tell people, about what's going on. Try to defend leftist values. Do something. They got away scot-free with no rotating troops for long enough. Time to get shit together and do proper military stuff. Thank you for bringing it back, Tisrael. That's exactly what I was talking about, because, yeah, the Ukrainian military, Ukrainian leadership has been depending on 40-year-olds, 30, 40-year-olds who have been fighting valiantly on the front lines. Actually, one of the oldest militaries in the world right now is the Ukrainian military, because of these absolute hard-ass veterans. I mean, these guys... it's crazy how effective these guys are. They are the backbone, but they need help. They need support. They need to be refreshed, and they need to see light at the end of the tunnel. That it can't be just a never-ending commitment that is extended indefinitely. That's bad for morale. That's how you get fragging situations. You get a lot of heroes killed. Because I don't want my hotel smell of weed. Exactly. But it's also really nice out here, as you can see. So no, this is really interesting. Let me read a little bit here. About 100 people gathered on Independence Square in the capital. Among them were relatives of military personnel, mostly wives of defenders who came to Kyiv from different parts of Ukraine. So all over Ukraine here. The protesters believe that a lack of specific terms of service has a negative effect on the mobilization and morale of the soldiers who protect Ukraine on the front lines. And I can't agree more. I mean, that if I was a soldier who was drafted and it was just an indefinite thing, and I'm working hard, I'm kicking ass, and there's just no end in sight, I would be pretty pissed off. That wouldn't be good for morale. I'm not a soldier, but I think I can empathize with that. Yeah, Leon is 100% correct. Put your name down. And if you have time, put your name down twice. Most important thing, though, is step 3, which is put in the work. Okay? We have to put in the work. We have to embrace political activism as a reality in our lives. And we need to attack at whatever angle we can, whatever angle we're comfortable with. We have to attack. So once again, I just agree with this comment here. As can be seen from the photo, the participants held placards, quote, "We demand a law on establishing reasonable terms of demobilization." Wow, that is probably the most sensible protest placard I have seen in quite some time. That's about as sensible as it gets. Quote, another one here, quote, "My husband is not your slave." Quote, "I left voluntarily. I got life." Quote, "There are no clear terms of service. There are demotivated soldiers." Wow. So that's another really great placard right there. Very clear, very concise. You can't say there's any confusion here about what they want. Verkhona Rada, Deputy Inna Subson, joined the protesters. So that was interesting that we actually have some government official here, deputy, legitimizing this a little bit. And yeah, this is definitely a black eye. Zelensky needs to do something about this. This can definitely get out of hand. And like I said, there's some real heroes on the Ukrainian front lines fighting their guts out, over 40, and they need a fucking break. They need a fucking break. They need to be refreshed. They need to be cycled out. Yeah, they're articulate, peaceful protester. Yeah, well, Leon, that's the biggest threat to empire right there, isn't it? They got it. That's why they clamp down with such brutality every time. So prehistory. So on April 9th, it became known that the Committee on National Security and Defense of the Verkhovna Rada excluded provisions on the demobilization and rotation of military personnel from the government draft law on mobilization. And look, I get it. You don't want to lose good guys. It's hard to train people. I get it. It's, you know, you're removing talent from the front lines and you're replacing it with a rookie. I get that. At the same time, they're human beings and they're also heroes, you know, that are sacrificing everything. And, you know, they deserve a little hope. They deserve a light at the end of the tunnel. You wouldn't believe how much useless stuff our military does. So Tisrael, by the way, is from Ukraine. Comment here from Tisrael. You wouldn't believe how much useless stuff our military does. That bridgehead over Dnipro was quite the few of our special forces just sitting there for no reason. Yeah, I remember that incident. They were under that bridge. They crossed, you know, they valiantly crossed the river, made the crossing, and then they had to hold this position that was being pounded 24/7. And they held it for days, weeks. They also demanded large amounts of supplies to exist there. It's clear we're not going anywhere until 2025. Why keep them there? Offensive advantage is nothing when there's no offensive to begin with. Yeah, very good point. It's a political move to show how weak Russia is, but it's taking up so much stuff to keep it up that's really not worth it. Yeah, it's especially not worth it, especially when you see Russia basically doing the same thing with Bakhmut and Avdiivka and falling flat on its face and failing. I get it. It is tough though, because Zelensky needs some dubs, and that was framed as a dub. I recall framing that, you know, reading that and basically agreeing that it was a dub, but I think I agree in retrospect now that probably was not the best use of resources because they weren't able to expand upon that bridgehead there on the Dnipro. Chem Goblin, who's also from Ukraine, saying they were working on demobilization law, which was included in general mobilization law, but it was taking too long. The law was consistently getting revised, so they split mobilization and demobilization, focusing on mobilization first. Yeah, well, okay. Join in 4 easy steps. What is this? He's trying to sell me something, guys. Plus 1K a month. Thank you for your service, brother. Oh, he's a salesman. I thought he was a new viewer. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I should just pull the plug, huh? Just buy the viewers. Yeah. Military servicemen, I have a soft spot for. It takes a lot to put your life on the line, and at the end of they deserve a good pension and fair treatment. Yeah, it's the hardest job in the world. It's the hardest job in the fucking world. Yeah, random scam, I know. What's the last sentence every time? Hey, brother, love the show. Buy my shit. Talk to you later. The execution of the issue of demobilization from the draft law was initiated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. The Ministry of Defense stated that the draft law on military demobilization will be ready sooner than in 8 months? Yeah, guys. No. Not fast enough. Not fast enough. Look, it's not a game. It's not a war killer. It's not going to change, you know, the frontline reality. But, hey, you're getting the support now. You know, Joe Biden and Mike Johnson finally got off their asses to get something done. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the good press going. I get it though. Zelensky's in a rock and a hard place. Okay. He needs these veterans more than ever. You know, and like so probably talking to him about, oh, you got to get these veterans off the front lines. He's like, that's absurd. You know what I mean? We're going to lose this war with that mentality. So I can see it from the other side as well. I don't know if you can see, but it's raining right now. I don't know if you hear that or see that. Probably can't really see that very well. It is raining, though. All right. Moving on to our next story. Thanks again, Chem Goblin, for this. It's a very important story, and it's a very complicated issue, unfortunately. It's not black and white here, but I do think these people need to be shown, thrown a bone here. You got to show us the forest at the end. It looks cool. Oh, yeah, for sure. Candidate requirements. What the hell is this? Hold on. Let's see here. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, no, it's a link to... Okay. Yeah, all right. Hey, man, if you want. My wife would literally kill me first. Okay? My wife would murder me well before a Russian mortar blows my head off. But yeah, if you have experience, if you have the balls, if you have the guts, the metal, and this is how you wanna do it, I encourage it. It's a tough decision though, and you gotta be able to carry your own. But thank you for that link. I approve of that. I thought you were scamming. I thought that was a link to a scam. Okay. Unfortunately, little bit of bad news. The good news, we just got the good news about the aid. It's coming. It's on the way. It's being expedited as quickly as it can. With that said, it's not there yet. It's going to take a couple more weeks at least for some of this stuff to get to the front lines, the most critical stuff to get to the front lines. Ammo for the guns, mainly, that are already in place. So in the meantime, Ukraine doing the best it can to keep Russia out of Chasiv Yar, but it's tough. It's really tough right now for many reasons. But just expect this kind of news for the next little while until Ukraine is able to not only get the resources, but then reconfigure. I mean, because basically they got to buttress, they got to get ready, brace themselves for a Russian offensive. So this whole idea, it's not a video game. They're not going to power up and go Super Saiyan and fucking start blasting through Russians. It's a momentum thing, and a victory for Ukraine in this scenario would be, preventing Russia once those resources get there in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Preventing Russia from moving forward and succeeding in any more pushes once those resources get there. That'll be the victory. And once again, of course, preventing Russia from taking Chasiv Yar is probably the most important thing. So I would assume that's a big expedite going there. But let's get an update here from France 24. Everyone's favorite France 24. Here we go.
Kind of a somber message from Alexander Siersky. Tell us about what he's saying and perhaps the context of why he's saying it now.
Well, I think he was trying to say that those gains by the Russians weren't all that significant, but he did admit that Ukrainian forces have retreated to positions west of 3 villages that he mentioned in Donetsk region. One of them is Novomihailovka. I don't know if you've got a map that can show you where this is. It's southwest of Donetsk, so that's one of the prongs of the Russian attack, trying to reach the key town
Ukrainian
of
time
to the southwest of their stronghold, if you like, of Donetsk. And then Alexander Siersky mentioned 2 villages northwest of Avdiivka, which the Russians managed to take in February. As you know, they've been pushing northwest from there ever since. Colonel Siersky admitted the village of Berdichi and one other just next to it had been taken. The Russians are saying that they've gone further than that and taken Novobakhmutivka, which is further to the northwest there. And that is an analysis that seems to be shared by some of the Western observers who are also producing their assessments of the battlefield. So very difficult situation all along the front line, not just in Donetsk region. The Commander-in-Chief also mentioned the northeast of the country, Kupiansk.
It's fucking pouring right now, dude.
Region. The Russians have apparently taken a small village to the southeast of there as well, which is inside Luhansk region, but was Ukrainian held until recently. So they're inching forward there too. And according to the Ukrainian military, they're
okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna break up the flow here, but I just got to show you the situation. Coco Gadget Umbrella. Now hold on. Let me go full screen with this. Show you here. Oh yeah, I get like moisture is starting to flick around. You can see here. Should I do a bathtub stream? What do you guys think? Should I do a outdoor bathtub stream? Let me know. But it's actually dumping right now. Okay, there you go. There you can see the rain a little bit on the car. Yeah, there you go. Just absolutely dumping, so I'll be all right. I'm protected. Okay. But the moisture... Oh, it's hailing. It's fucking hailing. Oh, my God. Okay, this is kind of wet. Getting a little wet here. There any way I can protect my laptop this way? I don't want to get it wet. Okay. Okay. Maybe this. This isn't working. No, here, this will work. Okay. You don't need to see me. Here we go. All right, perfect. All right, perfect. You don't need to see me. I'm here. You know I'm here. You can hear me. I'm not going anywhere. Geolocated my position. I told you the town I'm literally in. This is why I watch stream. Okay, here we go. Back to the news, guys. Serious. This is serious news.
Also trying to make gains all along the southern front line, though they're not having any success there. At least that's what the Ukrainians say.
Gulliver, we were just looking at the map as you were explaining the different areas that Russians have said they're advancing on. Chasiv Yar comes up on the map as well. A lot of talk about Russia getting close to Chasiv Yar.
Chasiv Yar, there's... I meant to mention Chasiv Yar, actually, because that's obviously the one to watch at the moment. If the Russians manage to take that town, they've got the high ground, very good position to be attacking the big Ukrainian-held towns of Donetsk region, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, and so on. From what I can see, they haven't advanced in recent days in Chasiv Yar, but the battle there is still going on. Of course, the Russians are trying to take as much advantage as they can of the Ukrainians' lack of ammunition, while the Ukrainians are waiting for their new Western supplies to come in. The Ukrainian military saying that the Russians have deployed huge numbers of additional troops to that offensive in Donetsk region.
That's really interesting. That explains some of my question. What is its significance? As you said, its position, it's its height on a hill. Now, also this Black Sea coast today, Mykolaiv. Tell us about what's happened there. Drone attacks hitting a hotel.
So the Ukrainians have confirmed that a hotel was hit. The Russians also said they hit a hotel and claimed that what they described as English-speaking mercenaries were staying in the hotel. Of course, the Ukrainians haven't confirmed that. The Russians often say that there are, of course, foreign fighters fighting for the Ukrainian armed forces. I think they're integrated into the Ukrainian armed forces. They're not fighting for any sort of private military company. So in that sense, they shouldn't really be called mercenaries. But we can't confirm whether the Russians' claim here is true. The Ukrainians say that there weren't any casualties, but that usually means that there weren't any civilian casualties. So whether any of the mercenaries, so-called, I should say, or the foreign fighters, if they were there, were hurt, I'm afraid I can't tell you. The Russians, what was interesting, also say that they're targeting a shipyard that's producing naval drones. The Ukrainians haven't confirmed this either, but it's obviously... something that the Russians very much want to do is to target the Ukrainians' military production facilities and also the logistics of the transport of Western supply armor.
Being suffocated right now by a stoner.
I think they have targeted areas along the south coast. This allegedly the shipyard in Mykolaiv, and it's also why in recent days they've been targeting Ukrainian railway infrastructure because they think that's where the Western weapons are coming in, being transported by the railways.
Kind of a great analysis as always. Great to have you back in Kyiv, our correspondent.
So just as we as we've been seeing, not major gains, but enough gains to change the reality of the battlefield. And thank goodness the aid is coming. Thank goodness the aid is on the way, because I don't a couple more months of this, it would have been done. It would have been over. That POV is wild. Sorry. It'll come back if the damn rain kicks up. I'll have to put it back over there because I don't want to get water droplets all over my. I'm far away, but it's still enough to get fucking splattered. Sorry about all that, everybody. My lighter ran out. Perfect time. Survival bottom right. Hello, Al Rakabi. Welcome back. Every time Ukraine hits something in Russia, we get 4K footage of it the day after. When Russia hits something, they release a statement and nothing else. No, exactly. Yeah, we get a lot of. Well, I mean, because like the fog of war benefits Russia right now. So it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't be so forthcoming. All right. Thought I'd give you guys a little red meat here from Canal 13. AI news. U.S. to quote-unquote rush Patriot missiles to Ukraine in $6 billion package. So this is that expedite I'm talking about. Of course, you know, one of the most important components here are, like I said, ammo to some of these systems. And we've all seen how effective the goddamn Patriots can be. So this is definitely good news.
Pentagon has announced that it will immediately send Patriot air defense missiles and artillery
It's going to turn it down a bit.
Ukraine as part of a new military aid package worth $6 billion.
Sorry about that.
At a press conference on Friday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced that the United States would provide its largest security assistance package to Ukraine to date. He emphasized that the supplies would be delivered immediately to support Ukraine's defense efforts. Austin announced that the United States is allocating $6 billion for the largest security assistance package to Ukraine to date.
Nice.
This package is part of a broader $60 billion aid package recently signed into law by President Joe Biden, which also includes $1 billion in immediate aid. Lloyd Austin, however, said that Patriot systems for launching the missiles would not be sent. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has emphasized the urgent need for Patriot systems to counter Russia's escalating air attacks, stating that they could save lives immediately. On Saturday, Ukraine reported a large-scale Russian airstrike. Authorities in Kharkiv reported damage to a hospital.
Not yet,
Energy Minister
Estonian.
German Galashchenko stated that
Motherfuckers.
energy facilities in 3 regions were targeted. Ukraine reported that Russia launched a missile attack involving cruise missiles, S-300 surface-to-air missiles,
Sorry, Kev,
and
that's not me.
ballistic missiles. According to Ukraine, they successfully intercepted 21 missiles using aircraft, air defense systems, and jamming techniques.
AI doesn't know how to do audio, I guess. We'll watch a little bit of this, a little bit of red meat. Please send us more Patriots. Missile recently hit a bridge close to me. Jesus, I'm so sorry, Tisriel. It's terrible news. Hey, Tisriel and Chem Goblin, make sure you're listening to those air raid sirens. Do not ignore them. Oh my God, the music. Ugh. Guys, we don't need the Call of Duty music, okay? We got the sounds of a real battlefield, you know? Don't need this. We don't fucking need this. But here we see these absolute true badasses holding it down, keeping America, keeping Ukraine sovereign. That was not a Freudian slip. I would like to see more of evidence of this Ukraine is a puppet state of the United States nonsense. Sounds right out of like the Da Vinci Code. Because even when Ukraine was a vassal state of Russia, there was still some pretty big autonomous actions there. Hell, they changed that constitution. And then there was no action for a couple years, I think, after that constitution was ratified that had NATO in it. Hey, let's make sure we blast Call of Duty music over this guy, what he's saying. Who fucking cares about what he's saying, man? He's just Call of Duty, dude. Let's go. These motherfuckers. All right, so there you go. Can't even really hear what he says. There's no fucking subtitles. Man, AI does not know how to do news. AI is really bad at news, guys. Did you know that? All right, so that's the end of my Ukraine coverage. As a little reward for sticking around, if you're still here, I thought I would show you this absolutely amazing video that I saw. Talk about skin of your teeth. Talk about skin of your teeth. Situation here. So it's kind of hard to see because of the perspective. Basically, what's happening is this helicopter is lifting a heavy load that is, on this island, this island that has this lighthouse, picking up a heavy load. and the balance gets out of whack, and then you see what happens here. It's crazy. Watch this. So here's the helicopter. It looks like it's approaching, but it's actually just coming down, with this heavy thing. And then watch this. Holy shit. Inches off the water. Pulls it out. That's not fire. That's an inflatable. It's part of an emergency inflatable. The pontoons apparently have like an emergency inflatable thing. But look at that. Holy shit snacks, dude. Oh, doggy. Yeah, so that's the emergency. That's what we see. That smoke is that emergency system that's inflating those pontoons. Whoa, the helicopter thought it was fucked. Even the helicopter thought it was toast. And look at that pilot getting that out of there. So apparently the pilot immediately went back to the airport. Amazing stuff. Once again, I wish I had my soundboard because just absolutely amazing footage. Real pro. Lighthouses are so cool. Isn't that so? Actually out here in Victoria, we've been checking out some lighthouses. There's small little dinky lighthouses, tiny little ones. They're all automated now, so not nearly as fun as what they used to be. Amazing stuff. All right, so moving on to our U.S. news. Let's go ahead and update the old subject here. We got a lot, and it's a varied mixed bunch here of a little bit of praise for Joe Biden, a little bit of shitting on the Democratic Party, a whole lot of pointing out the absurdity of the Supreme Court. I even have, guys, and I need to apologize in advance here. We're going to listen to not one, but two clips from NPR. I know. Not the whole thing each time. I don't think we're going to listen. The Ashley Judd one, no. We're going to listen to the whole thing. So I have to apologize in advance, but I must say NPR surprised me with its coverage of Palestine and Gaza. Yeah, Victoria, BC. Really surprised me with its coverage of Gaza and Palestine, and has actually been more open to the idea that Palestinians are human beings recently, which is really wild to me. And we've been so I've been listening to a little bit more of them. They're actually one of the only radio stations on the island that I can actually pick up on my car. So I was listening to it, and there was two segments that were actually really good. And the first segment I'm going to play you here actually pertains to a debate we just had just a couple streams ago about the use of the term genocide and why I consider it ethnic cleansing over genocide. We looked up the definition. It's about it's a legal term. It's a technical term used to describe a situation of complete erasure of a nation or a group, and this this debate on NPR was happening internally, so they felt that they would get the standards and practices person, basically the person that's in charge of, okay, what does this word mean? How do we use this word? In what context is it okay to use this word? And, how do we, because, they're trying to stay consistent with their journalistic values. If you want to, NPR is pretty fucking spotty. Okay. If anyone remembers NPR from the Bush era, anyone remembers NPR during the Bernie Hillary era, not exactly squeaky clean. But this is a really fascinating look under the hood of NPR, an interview, a very quick 5-minute interview with the director, the head of standards and practices, talking specifically about the word genocide. And I thought this was really great to show everybody, or everyone we're going to listen to it, because, like I said, we just had this debate about it. And, I guess I hate to be on the side of NPR on this one, but I guess I kind of agree with them on this one about the use of the term genocide. And I guess that means I agree with Destiny as well, which sucks. But here we are, because that's what during that Lex Friedman interview, that's that horrible comment that he made about, I don't even think the Holocaust would be considered a genocide. he's technically right, and that sucks. I'm sorry. It sucks. But he's technically right. And it sucks because he's such an arrogant bastard. But it looks like he's technically correct, you know, like, but I still stand by what I said earlier, that during that debate, that it's kind of pedantic. It kind of doesn't really matter because, you know, everyone knows what you're talking about. At the same time, when you start using generalities, you start using terms incorrectly, that does open up an opportunity for bad actors to, you know, try to pick you apart in various ways. It does open you up to attack. And I'm always wondering about messaging, optics, things like that. Feels like there's a spider on my leg. I never know when there isn't a spider. He's still gone. Spider is gone. I don't know where the spider ever went. Okay, so let's listen to this NPR. Oh, the other thing I need to apologize is that we're also going to listen to a Rachel Maddow clip. I know I need my booze. I need my booze big time. I'm sorry I don't have my soundboard so that I can hear the booze that you're currently giving me right now. But her multi-million-dollar journalist writing room put together a really good recap of the Supreme Court of the United States scandal, how they're entertaining this Trump immunity. She breaks it down really, really well. So the first 3 clips are unfortunately motherfucking bread tube, dude. We're doing the bread tube segment, all right? So I'm sorry in advance, but let's get to it. These are actually really good segments. The Ashley Judd one is about abortion and women's rights. It was beautiful. Her words were beautiful, and I need to play them for everybody. So that's why we're going to listen to that clip. But this is the first one: how NPR decides the words we use to describe war. And yeah, it is audio, so I'm just going to be playing, I don't know, something here. I'll find something to play on the thing for you.
Words are powerful. And in newsrooms, there are
words are powerful.
Words are powerful.
Words are powerful.
There are constant debates over how journalists should use certain words, like when should a reporter call a false statement a lie or call an attacker a terrorist? The person who guides NPR's thinking on these questions is our managing editor for Standards and Practices, Tony Cavan. Lately, he has been sending out regular guidance on language around Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. And so we've invited him to pull back the curtain and provide some transparency on NPR's thinking about the words you hear or don't hear on our air every day. Tony, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Everyone in our newsroom knows who you are, but you're less well known to our listeners. So could you start by just explaining briefly what your role is?
Sure. We have an ethics code that we are supposed to follow that makes us fair and responsible journalists. And my job is to do my best to make sure we're actually following that code. The one thing we bring to the table as a news organization is trust. And if we don't have our listeners' trust because we appear to be taking sides,
NPR,
then it's very hard for us to go beyond them.
So in many cases, you are taking kind of abstract principles from the ethics code and applying them to specific scenarios. And I'd love for you to tell us about what that process is before we get to the specifics of the war in Gaza. Like, how do you approach a question that many people will disagree on the correct answer to? Early in my journalism career, there was a national debate over whether to use the word torture to describe abuse of detainees in U.S. custody. What is your process for coming up with an answer to a question like that?
It was clearly torture.
The process is to discuss it.
Great job, NPR.
I don't want you to think for a moment, I don't want our listeners to think for a moment that I am either smart enough or arrogant enough to try and do all of this by myself. I talk to our newsroom leaders, I talk to editors, I talk to people like yourself, I talk to our reporters, and we work through these questions and try and come up with the answer that is as fair and truthful as possible.
All right, let's look at the story that is on our air every day and has been for 6 months, the war in Gaza. In the memos that you have sent out since October 7th, the word genocide has come up more than once. You have written, it is one of the more powerful words in the English language. What should listeners know about how and when NPR uses that word?
Generally, NPR does not use that word. We may quote other people using that word, and that word is essentially an accusation. Genocide is a legal term. It's a crime. And one of the things you need to prove genocide is you need to prove intent. And that makes it very hard to prove. There are very, very few cases of proven genocide.
Yeah.
So when we quote someone accusing someone else on either side of genocide, we point out.
So does that mean that the leftists that are currently calling what's happening in Gaza genocide are dumb and we shouldn't listen to them? And They don't know what they're talking about. No, because they're using a technical term wrong. Oh no, the regular public is using a technical term incorrectly. Oh, heaven forbid. So that's totally ridiculous. But one of the reasons why I wanted to play this for you is that, from my perspective, I guess I'm a journalist, whatever the fuck that fucking means. But that's kind of where I'm coming from a little bit in terms of why I've been calling this an ethnic cleansing instead of a genocide. But at the same time, like, once again, do we throw away the opinions of the pro-peace crowd because they're misusing this technical term? No, absolutely not. And they also, we won't be able to prove intent until the end, basically. What happens when they're correct? When it's no longer, like, do we want it to get to that? So I guess they were correct in retrospect. Do we want it to for that to be happening? Like, I don't think so. We're gonna listen just a little bit more of this. Let him finish his thought here.
Of genocide, we point out whether or not the accused has responded and said that this is not true. And also we point out that it's a legal term and what some of the conditions you need to meet to make that legal term are. So we're not just letting that accusation hang in the air as if it were there all alone, but we try and let listeners understand what that accusation means, who's responded to it, and the listeners themselves can decide whether or not they think it's valid.
They don't do a good job of that.
You dig into in your most recent memo are anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Just to quote one section from your most recent guidance, you write, criticizing Israeli government policy or Prime Minister Netanyahu is not anti-Semitic. Criticizing Netanyahu because he is Jewish is. Linking all
fair.
Jewish people to Israeli government policy is anti-Semitic.
Yes, yeah.
And later you add,
I avoid that as well.
What seems like maybe a possible understatement, the lines can be blurred. So what is your bottom line for NPR as a news organization when we think about how we should or should not label actions or statements as anti-Semitic or Islamophobic?
I think we should use descriptions rather than labels whenever we can. However, if, for example, students at a university feel that demonstrations against the war have crossed the line into anti-Semitism, we need to explain why. If we don't explain why, it might give off the impression that could be false, that those students simply think that someone criticizing Israeli policy is being anti-Semitic. But those students, and it's all very hypothetical, may well say, no, there were people making specific accusations about Jews in those demonstrations, and therefore we feel they were anti-Semitic. The same would be true for Islamophobia. People who conflate the actions of Hamas with Islam or the actions of a number of militant groups that claim to be acting in the name of Islam with all Muslims, that we need to be careful of as well. So like I say, what we want is descriptions rather than labels. But if people are using those labels, we need to put them in context.
Does your guidance on these subjects ever change or evolve over time once you've issued a memo? Is it set in stone?
All right.
It does. I know we're talking about very weighty subjects here, but one of my baptism by fire at NPR.
Yeah. So now they get into some other stories and stuff, but that was the main gist of what I wanted to play for you there. Hopefully, sorry by the way that it's just NPR audio, but I thought that was really quite relevant to what we were literally just talking about. I think it was the last stream. So thank you for indulging me. So the last NPR clip here, and I'm sorry once again that this is NPR, but I can't stress how important Ashley Judd's words are in this. So she's what we're talking about here is the Harvey Weinstein bastard got his appeal approved. So now all these women who made testimony against him have to do it again, and they have to, recount their rape stories in front of random strangers just to get this criminal put to jail. And, because of his high-powered, expensive lawyers and all of his, high-powered, expensive friends that still have his back, he's been able to get this appeal. He's actually, this is like multiple counts, so he's actually guilty of he's like stoned, like the appeal process is done, and I think another thing in other places. So the motherfucker's still in jail, and he's going to be staying there, it sounds like, because of the other cases. But this one, the appeal has been approved. So, and apparently it's the big one where a lot of different women made testimony and made statements, told their story about legitimate rape. legitimate rape. Okay, and this is no joke. This power dynamic, it's not cool. It's not like, Andrew Tate. I wish we could go back. It's absolute bullshit. Do we believe in equality and equity, or don't we? For humanity, okay? Or do we believe in this, ridiculous incel idea that women are somehow property of men? We're owed them something. We're partners in this. We're not alpha and beta. So I think her words are just amazing. I was so inspired, and I have to play this for you here. So let's get to it.
Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction in New York has been overturned. The state's Court of Appeals, in a 4-3 vote, has ordered a new trial for the 72-year-old former Hollywood mogul, setting off a wave of critical reactions from survivors, lawyers, and activists. One of those voices is Ashley Judd. She was the first woman to come forward on the record with allegations against Harvey Weinstein. The series of reports that resulted propelled
Oprah had his back, by the way.
Ashley Judd joins us now. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what went through your mind when you first learned the conviction got overturned?
What went through my mind, Elsa, is that male sexual violence is a thief. It is disruptive. It is intrusive. First, it steals our sexual autonomy. They harass and rape us. And then while I'm happily planning our summer vacation to Yellowstone National Park, waiting to get our camping permits, trying to prepare my speech for the UN General Assembly, at which I'm speaking on Monday about population and development, I get this news that the majority has overturned his conviction. And I have to respond yet again to Harvey Weinstein's serial sexual predation.
Can I ask you about the ruling, though? Because this is New York's highest court, they said that Weinstein did not get a fair trial because the judge allowed testimony that didn't form the basis of the specific charges at issue. This is testimony from multiple women. And that is why this case was considered fragile all along. There's a fundamental rule in criminal trials that defendants are to be judged on the acts that they are actually charged with. So really, how surprising was this outcome?
Well, I'd like to point out that the minority opinion burns like hot coals. I mean, their dissent flies like steam off the page. And the Molyneux witnesses, which is what the women who came in to establish the pattern.
A pattern of predatory behavior.
Right. Did an incredible job establishing that they too had been victimized by his predatory behavior. And I understand the majority wanted to apply a more regressive standard. And this is an example of institutional betrayal. And so many survivors of male sexual violence end up describing this moral injury as having been worse than the original violation of their bodies.
What does this ruling do more broadly to the Me Too movement, if we can go there? Because so much of Me Too was about people breaking their silence to share stories, right? And discovering while they were sharing that they experienced common pain at the hands of certain individuals. That collectivity gave them a voice. And now we have the highest court in New York basically saying too many voices can be impermissible. So what are the implications of that?
Too much evidence.
The Me Too movement?
Yeah, and I think it's important that we talk about this because this is a moment, and Me Too is a movement. When the hashtag went viral, there were 850,000 women on Twitter in 12 hours. And 12 million on Facebook in 24 hours. We are legion. The most dangerous place in America for a woman is in her home. And more women have PTSD than veterans as a result of male sexual violence. And as Tarana Burke said yesterday, the bad news is that there are so many survivors of male sexual violence, and that's also the good news.
Tarana Burke, the founder of Me Too.
And people can visit Me Too. They can call the Rape and Incest Hotline. We will tell our stories because those are acts of leadership that spark others to collective action for good purpose. And Me Too movement is not going away until men change their patterns of masculinity and stop raping us.
Yeah,
that's
a must.
How does that, what you've just described as the Me Too movement, how does that impact criminal proceedings? I mean, the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg says he does intend to retry this case. But if the message from New York's highest court is just keep the case simple, basically stick only to the testimony that directly relates to the charges, do you and others who came forward during the first trial think that you should back off now and stay out of the second trial?
You know, Elsa, I walk shoulder to shoulder with women with bloody knees. And if my sisters in New York who are eligible to prosecute Harvey Weinstein choose to do so again, you know, at great emotional cost, I will absolutely be with them. And, you know, being a courtroom is a hostile environment for a survivor. It is not a healing space. You know, they are asked to perform their trauma. Judges and juries don't necessarily understand that stranger rape is largely minimal. We know the men who rape us. And it's a very tall ask to ask them to come forward again. And I support everyone's individual decision, whatever she may choose.
As much as this moment right now has been described as a setback, what would you like to say to people who are feeling that way?
This is where it gets really
about
good.
How to move forward.
I think all of our emotions are valid and appropriate. And I have learned
in a bad way
that emotions are energy in motion. And it's important that I feel the full range of my humanity. And anger that is processed becomes strength and motivation. And so when I travel that journey from my rage to my strength and motivation, I feel that male entitlement to female bodies is the up with which I will no longer foot. And I find that hill on which I am willing to die.
There it is. I'm back. We're back. Sorry. It's spotty. It's real. I'm deep in the woods. I'm back. I'm back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. It's internet in the woods. Okay, give me a break. They're talking about like the problem has something to do with being male. No, they're not. No, she is not. You're not listening to her. Okay, you're not listening to her, Kim Goblin. Quite, you're wrong on that one. How's the campground though? Water nearby? Oh, it's not a campground. It's a shed someone built on their property. So it's nice and isolated. I got check it out. Davin, did you see the bathtub? I got an outdoor bathtub if I want, man. Oh yeah. Living La Vida Loca. But no, if you're pro Andrew Tate, you're pro rape. Yeah. Oh yeah. Straight up. If you're pro Andrew Tate, you're pro rape. Okay? He's the exact opposite direction that male masculinity needs to go in. Being a man means protecting the weak, not taking advantage of the weak. Whether strength or, otherwise, we should be helping people. That's the manly thing to do. That's the heroic thing to do. Not lord over people with your power and wealth and prestige. Some kind of insane rat race that only a few could ever obtain. And they don't, it's not about alpha. It's not about being superior. But yeah, no, pro Andrew Tate is pro rape. So the words of Ashley Judd there are amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley Judd. Make sure you look her up too. She's incredibly intelligent. She does. I don't know how many years she's been doing this. Well, I think 10 years. She's been like a diplomat or something. Pretty wild shit. But her speeches are nuts. I definitely recommend checking out some Ashley Judd speeches. She's absolutely crazy. Really fiery speeches, and really makes you want to give your mom a hug. Try to give some respect to women once in a fucking while, which is my own personal problem. I see a beautiful woman, fucking lose my mind. So it's like, I got my own problems. Maybe I'm overcompensating. Maybe I'm not. Because, I hear shit like Andrew CK, or what the fuck his name, jerking off into a fucking flower pot in front of these, two young women comedians trying to, he's like, oh yeah, hey, I'll do an interview. Show me your stuff. Then the motherfucker starts masturbating And then all this Harvey Weinstein shit. So you know what Harvey Weinstein would do to women? He'd be like, "Oh, let me sleep with you." They'd be like, "Hell no." "Oh, okay, let me watch you masturbate." "No, fuck no." No, okay, well, I'll let you be the leading role in a movie if you let me watch you shower. You know, or if you just send me a video of you showering. Shit like that. So, you know, he'd go down the scale, right? Like if you wanted to really cash out, if you wanted to be like, "Oh, I'll give you a three movie deal if you sleep with me." I mean, they do kind of opposite of what he does in a bad way. He's saying how males can be all these good things while they're talking about how males have toxic masculinity. So yeah, that one comment, I think I know exactly what part you're talking about, because I was thinking to myself, people are going to misunderstand that when I was in the car. So it's interesting that you're I know exactly what part you're talking about. But no, she's not equating all masculinity to being negative. But I guess she's just not using the term toxic masculinity. When, look, when guys understand that masculinity is inherent, it's in this, it's pumping in our blood. We're like this, right? Fucking beating our, doing all that shit, right? It's in there. And sometimes that can be hard for a woman to kind of understand a little bit, right? But if we don't, yeah, absolutely is true. No, there's every man wants to protect the people that they love and wants to make sure that they're able to, stand on their own 2 feet in their own ways. Yeah, regardless of, but okay, now we're getting into gender shit, which is, we got to move on, Chem Goblin. Look, take that shit to the fucking professor, okay? I agree with that, Chem Goblin. Yeah, no, I agree with that. If you want to call it something else other than masculinity, that's fine. But that's how I, define masculinity, is this urge to protect and make the world a better place, and defend yourself where necessary, and all those kind of things. And I think a lot of those urges and instincts that are inherent to people like us, not just men with nuts and berries, is that we, that those feelings, those urges can be twisted and misconstrued and turned into something ugly. Nationalism is a big part of that. Anyway, hope you found, I really just wanted to move on from that really quickly, but we had to have a gender studies debate. But I hope you found those words of Ashley Judd inspiring. So the last puke-worthy fucking bread tube style MSNBC video that I have for you queued up is, like I said, this recap of the Supreme Court of the United States. It's just atrocious. It's nightmarish. And honestly, this is how I feel what's happening, is that they want to give Trump a chance electorally. They want to give him a chance. And if he loses, they get to still keep their legitimacy. But if he wins, then they get to keep maybe they get to keep their jobs. Because this idea that a president can just do no wrong is gonna let the Supreme Court oppose him. Pretty ridiculous. So this is just, this is really a historic moment in American history. It really is wild. Okay, Chem Goblin. Wow. Okay, yeah. Let's get. Hey, Chem Goblin, how valuable is getting bogged down in a debate about the definition of terms? How far does that progress movements? Does that progress movements leaps and bounds when you get bogged down in the definition of terms like that? The CIA wrote a manual about how to disable and destroy leftist movements. Do you know that? Way back in the fucking 50s. Step 1 was to split everything up into a bunch of committees and debate every single little term. So you're actually doing exactly what the CIA wants you to do when it comes to leftist movements and leftist discourse. You're getting bogged down in a bunch of semantic bullshit instead of focusing on the real crimes that are happening. Ashley Judd pouring her heart out, and dozens of other women going to be pouring their heart out about how they were physically raped And you're over here having a fucking soapbox about the definition of this and fucking that. How valuable is that to the fucking movement for women equality, for female equality and equity? Spinning your fucking tires. So anyway, puke video here. Great recap of Supreme Court of the United States. Let's get to it.
The appeals court proceedings made headlines across the country after one of the 3 appellate judges who heard the appeal asked Trump's lawyer in court a shocking hypothetical about whether he could order the assassination of a political rival and really not be charged for it. Trump's counsel said, indeed, that was their position. So all of the federal judges who reviewed Trump's audacious immunity claim, all of them have seemed not just disinclined to go along with it, they have seemed shocked by it. And their clarion decisions, again, at the trial court level and at the appellate level, their clarion decisions against him on this immunity question really seemed like they would be the last word. But with this Supreme Court, never say never.
Never say never, dude.
The United States Supreme Court sat on this issue for weeks and then finally announced that they wanted to take this case themselves.
They're kicking the can down the road.
They would take it today, what is probably the latest possible day on which they could have scheduled these arguments. To the extent that Trump's best defense tactic is delay, the Supreme Court has already been an excellent accomplice in that defense.
Yeah.
Even with that
100%.
backdrop, the arguments today were legitimately, I think, stunning.
Ghoulish,
Trump's
insane.
counsel was grilled for about an hour. The counsel for prosecutor Jack Smith in the Justice Department was grilled for nearly twice that amount of time. But almost immediately at the start of proceedings, under questioning from Justice Sonia Sotomayor, we got confirmation that the appeals court hypothetical, that crazy hypothetical about Trump being able to assassinate his political enemies and never be charged for it, we got confirmation right at the start that that was not a fluke. President Trump, in fact, maintains, and his lawyers maintain, that he really is immune from prosecution, specifically for killing his political rivals.
Yeah, no biggie. Legit, just totally absurd.
I'm going to give you a chance to say, if you stay by it, if the president decides that his rival is a corrupt person,
he's got no choice,
and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him, is that within his official acts for which he can get immunity?
It would depend on the hypothetical, but we can see that could well be an official act.
It could, and why?
That could be an official act, really. He might officially, as part of his presidential duties, want to kill his domestic political rival. And if it's an official act, Trump's lawyers say, well, he's immune from prosecution for that. So in other words, yes, we think he should be able to do that. Anything else you want to clarify that he should be able to do? It turns out quite a bit,
Sotomayor should ask him, is it okay if Biden does that?
His individual domestic political opponents. It's
that's
worse
okay for
than
Biden
that.
then, right?
Over to you, Justice Kagan. Again, here questioning Trump's counsel, John Sauer.
If a president sells nuclear secrets to a foreign adversary, is that immune?
That sounds like similar to the bribery example,
official
likely
act.
not immune. Now, if it's structured as an official act, he would have to be impeached and convicted first.
What does that mean if it's structured as an official act?
Well, I don't know in the hypothetical whether or not that would be an official act. You'd probably have to have more details to apply the Blazing Game analysis, or even the Fitzgerald analysis that we've been talking about.
How about if a president orders the military to stage a coup?
I think that, as the Chief Justice pointed out earlier, where there is a whole series of, sort of guidelines against that, so to speak, like the UCMJ prohibits the military from following a plainly unlawful act. Now, if one adopts, for example, the Fitzgerald test that we advanced, that may well be an official act, and he would have to be, as I'll say in response to all these kinds of hypotheticals, has to be impeached and convicted before he can be criminally prosecuted.
Insane.
But I emphasize to
totally
the point,
outrageous.
Well, he's gone. Let's say this president who ordered the military to stage a coup.
Outrageous, dude.
He's no longer president.
Like
he wasn't
Raven.
impeached. He couldn't be impeached.
No, like Jim.
But he ordered the military to stage a coup, and you're saying that's an official act.
Good to go.
That's immune.
I think it would depend on the circumstances whether it was an official act. If it were an official act,
gotta impeach him first.
Well, what does that mean? Depend on the circumstances. He was the president. He
unless the president assassinates everybody.
He talked to his generals.
Wait a minute. Now we can't impeach him.
He told the generals, "I don't feel like leaving office.
Now he can do whatever he wants.
Is that immune?
If it's an official act, there needs to be impeachment and conviction beforehand because the framers viewed that kind
That's what they wanted, guys.
Is it an official act?
If it's an official act, it's impeachment.
Is it an official act?
On the way you've described that hypothetical, it could well be. I just don't know. You'd have to, again, it's a fact-specific, context-specific determination.
That answer sounds to me as though it's like, yeah, under my test, it's an official act, but that sure sounds bad, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly sounds very bad. That's why the framers have.
It's fine. That's fine. This is what the framers intended for the president to be a total full-blown king, and he can assassinate and kill whoever he wants, and obviously, he wouldn't do that because he just, there'll be an impeachment. Except the president can kill whoever he wants, so he's going to kill anybody who tries to impeach him, just like North fucking Korea. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't really think of that. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. No, of course he's thinking about that. So I don't understand why Sotomayor and the other justices aren't going there. They're getting right up to the edge. Right, and then not going like, okay, well, doesn't that open it up for, you say he can kill anybody he wants. I don't know why they're stopping. Chem Goblin, I see what you're saying, and I still disagree. All right, let's keep going.
That's why the framers have a whole series of structural checks that have successfully, for the last 234 years, prevented that very kind of extreme hypothetical.
Has that extreme hypothetical always been prevented? But yes, Your Honor, that certainly, quote, sounds very bad. You can see where he's going at the end of this, though, right? When he calls that an extreme hypothetical. This is an important part, I believe, of how today's proceedings went.
Yeah.
Trump's
She's
lawyer
spot on.
And most of the conservative justice today carried...
No, this is really important. Stop what you're doing and paying attention, because I talked about this yesterday as well. But this is the big problem, is that Alito and these other justices are entertaining this idea that it's a hypothetical when it's a motherfucking guarantee. It's actually already been attempted.
Was that an extreme hypothetical? This is an important part, I believe, of how today's proceedings went. Trump's lawyer and most of the conservative justice today carried on with these proceedings at the Supreme Court as if it is just a wild hypothetical, just a crazy pipe dream, like a Martian scenario, that a president might try a coup. Might try to use force to stay in power after he was voted out. Yeah, who could ever imagine something like that? Trump's lawyer today called that unlikely. He specifically called it, and I quote, very, very unlikely as a scenario today.
That is the wisdom of the framers. What they viewed as the risk that needed to be guarded against was not the notion that the president might escape, a criminal prosecution for something, sort of very, very unlikely in these unlikely scenarios. They viewed much more likely and much more destructive to the republic, the risk of factional strife discussed by George Washington.
The framers did not put an immunity clause into the Constitution. They knew how to. There were immunity clauses in some state constitutions. They knew how to give legislative immunity. They didn't provide immunity to the president. And, not so surprising, they were reacting against a monarch who claimed to be above the law.
Okay,
Wasn't
thank God.
The whole point that the president was not a monarch?
And then, so his reply
of,
I don't know why they cut out his reply, because his reply is like, oh, well, there's checks and balances. But then they don't go to the next logical step is, well, those checks and balances can be easily subverted by a president who now has the authority to kill whoever the fuck he wants. He has the authority to destroy those checks and balances. How come they don't go to that part?
America, why we're a country. Justice Elena Kagan there with Trump counsel John Sauer. Basically what he's saying there is the idea of anyone actually trying a coup to stay in power, a president trying that's crazy. That's crazy. That's so extreme. We don't have to worry about a hypothetical like that. It's really partisan strife. It's really conflict between political parties. That's the biggest risk to the country, not this crazy idea of a potential coup. Justice Kagan there responding by basically saying, yeah, okay, also, but maybe tyranny, maybe a tyrant, unbound by law, running the country with impunity. Maybe that would be bad for us too. Maybe that's why we were actually formed as a constitutional republic. As a general matter, it is folly to extrapolate from oral arguments and say that you know how the ruling will come down based on the comments from the justices when the case was heard. With that caveat, though, it seemed clear today that the most conservative justices were inclined to side with Trump, not just on a technicality, but possibly on the substance.
It's insane. It's
Justice
true.
Clarence Thomas suggesting today that presidents are always committing crimes. Shout out to Operation Mongoose from Justice Clarence Thomas today. Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Justice Samuel Alito today describing prosecutors and judges and even grand juries of citizens in terms that would be right at home in a Trump social media feed about how there isn't really a rule of law in this country and that what looks like our supposed legal system is really just corrupt people who are out to get Donald Trump. The conservative justices today were absolutely and consistently unwilling to discuss Trump's alleged crimes as laid out in the indictment that led to this case, to the point that it became almost a comedic, gymnastic effort at avoidance between Justice Alito and the lawyer for special counsel Jack Smith.
Crazy.
The court has concerns about the robustness
of
it.
Auto rocks, both
I would
sides.
suggest looking at the charges in this case.
Well, I'm going to talk about this in the abstract.
Conspiracies to defraud the United States with respect to one of the most important functions, namely the certification of the next president.
Well, I don't want to dispute the particular application of that 371 conspiracy to defraud the United States.
Don't want to debate it. I don't want to debate
It's
it.
difficult to think of a more critical function than the certification of who won the election.
Yeah, I'm not, as I said, I'm not discussing that particular
Yeah, let's not get into particulars.
Stop with the facts. Stop. Do not tell me about the things that whoever your client is did, or the things in the indictment of whoever your client is that led to this case, whatever it's about. I want to speak purely in the abstract as if the particular facts of this case, the particular facts of what Donald Trump did, are actually just an unimaginable, extreme hypothetical that I don't need to engage with. The not consensus, but I think widely held view of today's proceedings at the United States Supreme Court is that the conservatives on the court will likely succeed in using this case to further and fatally delay criminal court proceedings against Donald Trump before the election in November. Rather than reject his claims of immunity from prosecution, like all the federal judges who have considered this matter before them have done, they instead will carve out some newly specified class of actions that are immune from prosecution if you're a president. And they will invent a test for deciding what counts as that kind of action by a president. And then they will send Trump's indictment, Trump's federal January 6th case, back through a whole new cycle in the lower federal courts to run his attempted overthrow of the government through the court's newly invented legal test that they are going to make for him in this case.
Yep. Oh, fuck.
Which,
I knew. Okay, sorry.
Take forever, because in the meantime, of course, he will get a chance to get back into the White House in order to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the American people will be asked to go and vote on whether he should take that seat again in the White House without knowing what federal prosecutors have found and believe is criminal about his conduct when he tried to overthrow the government to stay in office the last time.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrific. It's the worst case scenario. They're, you know, and honestly, though, like I said, I think what they're doing. Oh, thank you for the follow, Palos. Appreciate that. But it is literally the worst case scenario here. My mouse is like literally disappeared. I can't see my mouse anymore. That's really cool. But it is the worst case scenario, folks. The Supreme Court.
Tonight on the readout.
No more. No more, please. Please go away now. I literally can't see my mouse cursor. This makes this thing, wow, super difficult. I literally can't see it right now. That's fucking awesome. Super cool. Never seen a problem with, never seen an error like this one. Okay, cool. All right, that's going to make the stream really difficult. That is going to, that really does make things pretty fucking difficult. I literally can't see my fucking mouse cursor. Nice. Thanks, Windows. Great job. Great operating system, Windows. Fucking awesome. Thank you again for the follow, Palos. You know, so once again, sorry about the Rachel Maddow, but Point taken, hopefully, that, this is historic. They're kicking the can down the road, basically, saying, okay, well, if, here you go, Trump, big layup to Trump. Here you go, buddy. It's up to you now. Can't do anything about the sex stuff. Can't do anything about the kickbacks and the sex stuff and the real estate shit. You're on your own there, buddy. But full-blown immunity, yeah, we'll kick that can down the road, because this would decide everything else. Not everything else. But there were some pretty important cases that were waiting for this decision that's being kicked down the road. So it's a big high five to Donald fucking Trump by the Supreme Court. It's horrific. It's horrific to see, but it's not over yet. So let's not get completely doomer. It's not over yet, but it's definitely not good news. Confirmed, the court does not have integrity. Hey, Smash, how you doing? Well, right now I'm not doing so great. I literally can't see my mouse cursor. I can see like, okay, but we're just gonna work through the best of it here, okay? Moving on to my next story. This absolutely atrocious website was reporting on Jamie Raskin here. Jamie Raskin slams, bam, slam. Oh no, Jamie Raskin slams Supreme Court over Trump immunity case. Quote, acting like a bunch of partisan operatives. Gee, I wonder, I wish there was a guy that was in charge, I wish there was somebody who maybe was in charge that could do something about this situation, a party that maybe could actually step in and, there's actually a way to add more seats to the Supreme Court. You could actually, what about the filibuster? You could actually change the rules on the filibuster. You don't actually need to be restrained on those things. Jamie Raskin, I wish a party was in charge right now. I wish there was a party that had a president, and, I think they have the Senate, but they don't have the Congress. They barely, the Republicans have the Congress barely, but I think the Democrats have the Senate. God, I wish there was just something they could do. Something they could do. Don't you wish, guys? Don't you wish there was Jamie Raskin, sitting congressman or senator, whatever. Congressman, I think. Representative. Hey, Jamie, don't you wish there was someone in charge who could do something about this? I'm just saying. Anyway, that was the snide remarks I wanted to make about that bullshit. I still can't see my mouse. Holy shit. This sucks. Hey, Lenny, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. Sorry, everybody. I'm putting everybody to sleep. I don't have my sound effects to keep everybody awake. Sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I literally can't see my fucking mouse cursor, okay? It makes my job extremely difficult. Doing the best I can. But wait till you hear this. This will knock you on your feet, okay? So talking about, things aren't rosy over here on the left over here. These people that the neoliberals embrace, these like fucking gurus. So normally I'd be able to click this. Wait, did I do it? No. Wait, there it is. Got it. So, these folks are kind of like, kind of quietly embraced by the neoliberal, Democrat establishment. And, let's take a little peek behind the hood and see what they actually believe. This is kind of our future if we allow the neoliberals to continue, like if Trump is defeated and people just keep voting for the next couple decades for these neoliberals. This is kind of the corporate techno future we can expect, because this is the opinion of the billionaires. They're different than the Rockefellers. They're different than these old school guys. They don't want to build museums. They basically want to build temples to themselves. And in the case of this guy, he wants to do a full blown 1984 Brave New World kind of thing. Wait till you hear this. This is actually absolutely crazy. And yeah, I'm going to have to read the whole thing, but it's absolutely, every word of it's amazing. So listen up. I'm going to do the best I can here. To fully grasp the current situation in San Francisco, where venture capitalists are trying to take control of City Hall, you must listen to Balaji Srinivasan. Before you do, steel yourself for what's to come. A normal person could easily mistake his rambling train wrecks of thought for crackpots' ravings, but influential Silicon Valley billionaires regard him as a genius. So that's the problem, that he's influential. That he's inside these circles, right? And he's the one that's kind of convincing them, oh no, being evil is good, being selfish is really good. This is actually the path to true kind of, progress. We're gonna transform society into something truly effective. Quote, Balaji has the highest rate of output per minute of good new ideas of anybody I've ever seen, wrote Mark Andreessen, co-founder of the VC firm Andreessen Horowitz, in a blurb for Balaji's 2022 book, The Network State, How to Start a New Country. So this is his utopian dream. The book outlines a plan for tech plutocrats to exit democracy and establish new sovereign territories. So this kind of gives you a window of what this is, the kind of shit that they're talking about. This is the kind of stuff that they want to influence. This is the direction that the Mark Zuckerbergs and maybe the Jeff Bezos, we don't really know. They don't really tell us, right? They keep things pretty close to, they don't like unions. We know that, but they keep things pretty close for a reason. But this kind of gives us a look. This guy's in their circles, right? He's not in their circles because, he gives them nice presents. He's saying things that they like to hear. The book outlines a plan for tech plutocrats to exit democracy and establish new sovereign territories. I mentioned Balaji's ideas in 2 previous stories about network state-related efforts in California, a proposed tech colony. So listen to this, a proposed tech colony called California Forever, and the tech-funded campaign to capture San Francisco's government. So some of these things are happening, like this, the tech-funded campaign to capture San Francisco's government has been an ongoing thing that they've been attempting to do. Balaji, a 43-year-old Long Island native who goes by his first name, has a solid Valley pedigree. He earned multiple degrees from Stanford University, founded multiple startups, became a partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and then served as chief technology officer at Coinbase. He is also the leader of a cultish and increasingly strident neo-reactionary tech political movement, this is real, that sees American democracy as an enemy. This is very real. In 2013, a New York Times story headlined, quote, it's starting to rain very dramatically, quote, Silicon Valley roused by secession call, described a speech in which he, quote, told a group of young entrepreneurs that the United States had become, quote, the Microsoft of nations, outdated and obsolescent. It doesn't say obsolete. That's obsolescent, right? Quote, listen to this. The speech won roars from the audience at Y Combinator. And if you know what Y Combinator is, you definitely understand, say you're in that area. But this is like basically kind of like a startup. This is, like a really high end, like startup kind of place. I got an app that's going to really make a lot of money. I want to live in a box and make my app. That's like that whole thing kind of, is like kind of encompassed in Y Combinator. It's not the only one doing it, but it's kind of the biggest one. So that's what Y Combinator is. But no, so the speech won roars from the audience at Y Combinator, a leading startup incubator. That's a pretty good summary. Reported the Times. Balaji paints a bleak picture of a dystopian future in a U.S. in chaos and decline. By the way, chaos and decline that they've motherfucking manufactured. But this, so that goes into their greed. Right? They're like, wow, they're destroying it. How come they're taking away the middle class? They're destroying the middle class. Aren't they worried about money in their own pockets? This might be what, they're thinking might be the solution for them, right? Oh, okay. Well, no, this is what we want. We want this to be like this so we can come in and institute our fucking techno society. Listen to what he says about the grays and the blues. Okay. Listen to this. Balaji paints a bleak picture of a dystopian future in the U.S. in chaos and decline, but his prophecies sometimes fall short. Last year, he lost $1 million in a public bet after wrongly predicting a massive surge in the price of Bitcoin. Yeah, whatever. That's just, a side hustle. No, but this is where it gets juicy. Still, his appetite for autocracy is bottomless. Last October, Balaji hosted the first ever network state conference. Gary Tan, the current Y Combinator CEO, who's attempting to spearhead a political takeover of San Francisco, and this is real. This guy's he's been trying to do this for like fucking decades, and he keeps donating millions and billions of dollars. Participated in an interview with Balaji and cast the effort as part of the network state movement. This is real. Tan, who made headlines in January after tweeting, quote, "Die slow, motherfuckers," at local progressive politicians, frames this campaign as an experiment in quote-unquote moderate politics. But in a podcast interview 1 month before the conference, Balaji laid out a more disturbing and extreme vision. So real quick, I just wanted to mention that the failure of the neoliberals to really implement proper policy around homelessness and crime and the bipping epidemic, people breaking into cars and stealing shit's like the number one resource if you're a junkie, is you're bipping all day and there's barely any punishment for it. The failure of the neoliberals to really do anything about it, right? They do the decriminalization and then they don't do any of the follow-up. They don't invest in any of the other stuff that needs to be happening once you do that. And it makes it seem like these progressive policies are a total failure. They are going to allow for these sharks to come into government and capture government because of their failure to really implement real, actual change, right? Because people have implemented the change. They voted in a bunch of bleeding hearts. And, it's worse. The problem's worse than ever since COVID. It's absolutely out of control if you're living there. I was just there just a couple of years ago. It was out of control there. Last time I visited, nothing's changed. It's gotten worse. And the Channel 5 News documentary on bipping is all you need to see it, just how normalized it's become and very little punishment. Anyway, so listen to this. This is his disturbing vision. Quote, "What I'm really calling for is something like tech Zionism." And bum, bum, bum. I need my soundboard. So tech Zionism says a lot right there, right? Tech Zionism, he said, after comparing his movement to those started by biblical Abraham, Jesus Christ, Joseph Smith, founder of Mormonism, Theodore Herzl, quote, spiritual father of the state of Israel, and Lee Kuan Yew, former authoritarian ruler of Singapore. Balaji then revealed his shocking ideas for a tech-governed city where citizens loyal to tech companies would form a new political tribe clad in gray T-shirts. Quote, "And if you see another gray on the street, you do the nod," he said during a 4-hour talk on the Monument of Zen podcast. Quote, "You're a fellow gray," quote. So it's one thing for crackpots to be running around saying this shit. It's another thing for them to be close to the billionaires who are like nodding their head. Boy, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, well, of course, I'll be a gray, right? The gray shirts would feature, quote, listen to this, Bitcoin or Elon or other kinds of logos. Y Combinator is a good one for the city of San Francisco in particular. Grays could also receive special ID cards providing access to exclusive gray-controlled sectors of the city. In addition, the Grays would make an alliance with the police department, funding weekly, quote, policemen's banquets to win them over. Here's another window into their psyche. Quote, "Grays should embrace the police, okay? All in on the police," said Saran Vansan. Quote, "What does that mean? That's, as I said, banquets. That means every politician's son, daughter, wife, cousin, sibling, whatever, should get a job at a tech company in security." Basically saying, yeah, let's corrupt government, corrupt it, lobby, get them, get all the police on board. And as we've seen with the protests, there's a reason why they want to get the police on board. They're going to use them as their strongmen to enforce this shit. And he knows that. He understands that there's going to be a lot of people he wants to make an even thinner group of innies and outies. And, what are you going to do with the outies? In exchange for extra food and jobs, cops would pledge loyalty to the Greys. Saran Van Zandt recommends asking officers a series of questions to ascertain their political leanings. For example, quote, did you want to take the sign off Elon's building, unquote? So, I mean, he's got the whole thing laid out. He's already got the purity test questions. Oh, are you is Elon your God King or not? All right. So there you go, folks. Just a little sample. I wish I had more time to read that. But just giving you an idea, just wanted to give you an idea that, on the neoliberal left, and especially amongst the oligarchy, there doesn't appear to be, like I said, this old school style rich philanthropy. I want to build a museum. I want to build a school. I want to, no, they want to create some fucking 1984 Brave New World kind of shit. They want to go completely off the charts. The fact that this guy isn't laughed out of the room when he starts saying this shit is pretty telling. Okay? It's crackpot shit. There's no legitimate reason that this man should be allowed, any kind of legitimacy saying this shit. But here we go. Oh, they're saying the reason why he gets to stick around, he's saying things that they want to hear. And that should frighten everybody, because these people have bazillions of dollars. They've captured elements of government, and they're seemingly wanting to go after more elements of our government. So hopefully I didn't bore you, but that's what I wanted to, show there. Was there any comments whatsoever? Welcome back. Quick double tap. Extra food. Yeah, exactly. Matthew the Crow. Why is everyone obsessed with Singapore these days? It's an authoritarian microstate with only... Well, I mean, that's Matty the Crow. That's it. It's the authoritarianism. They love it. Leon, thanks for that view. I appreciate it. Great. I'm glad people were listening. Thank you so much for Lenny and Chem Goblin, everybody else, all you lurkers. Hope you enjoyed that, because I'm very worried about it. It's like, the fact that he's not laughed out of the room, that's they're nodding their head. They're like, ooh, that's a good idea. I like that. And then what do we see? We see them gouge us, continue to attack and cut off chunks of the middle class and continue to diminish us and diminish our power. And it's like, guys, don't you want us to have money? Don't you want us to have resources to buy your fucking products? And they're like, no. We're going to have a future where you're going to be forced to buy our product. You're forced to rent our products, and you everything, the money, everything's going to flow for us. We're going to be the Grays, and you're going to be the Blues. And of course they probably laugh at a lot of this stuff, but in their head they're thinking, yeah, some form of that sounds pretty good. It's crazy. It's maniacal. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'd give you the link to this, but I can't, the name of the article, Tech Barons Seeking Ethnically Cleanse San Francisco. Later in the article, that's what he says. Man, I read these articles so fast because I thought I had more time. I was like, man, this is going on for way too long, but I wanted to get to the juicy parts. But there's a lot more juicy in there. Let's see if I can get the link. Yeah, there we go. I got the link for you. If you want to read the rest of this, it is juicy. Okay. No, that's not. No. Okay. No, I can't even see. All right. Never mind. All right. Moving on. I can't see my mouse, dude. It sucks. It really sucks. Why does everything suck right now? All right. There we go. This is an unequivocal win. Big dub for Biden. Wanted to point it out. We just did a lot of shitting on the neoliberals like I do every single damn stream because they're terrible. But we have to acknowledge the wins, and this is a massive win. Big Biden win here. FCC votes to restore net neutrality, which has been repealed under Trump. And I got another link here from Dexter Toe. I remember this when I used to surf Twitter. I don't anymore. So I get these links off Reddit. Quote, internet service providers will again be prohibited from blocking, throttling, or engaging in paid prioritization of lawful content. The FCC announced they have restored net neutrality. So this is where I'd be hitting that applause button. This is great news. This was done under Trump. He destroyed, he broke the rules. And basically it was interesting because he said, okay, do whatever you want. And they kind of didn't, because it was really bad for business to throttle and block and paid prioritization and do all this stuff. So it was actually interesting how nothing really changed when he actually said, okay, yeah, no, we destroy net neutrality. All the same, it's good to see this back in there. And there's also, I think, some discussion, if I remember correctly, about internet being considered a public utility which is a very, very important thing, and it absolutely should be. I hope you agree. Being a creature of the internet, I'm sure, bunch of internet goblins over here. No, internet shouldn't be a public utility. It should be controlled by corporations. That's great. That always works out well, guys. I'm just shitting on you. So, guys, I really wish I had my motherfucking soundboard. Boo! Boo! No problem, quick double tap. Boo! Exactly, Leon. Boo! So this crazy, crazy B word thought it was a really good idea to put how she mercilessly killed her family dog. Shot it like in the fucking face. Like we're supposed to think she's like a badass Reservoir Dogs Quentin Tarantino character or something. So she's in the news. This monster, who I would have called her that before this news, but definitely cements it. Her name is Christy Nome. Sorry, that was Carrie. I was about to say Christy Kari Lake or whatever, but no, this is Christy Nome. She put this in her autobiography. She's supposed to be like a big contender for VP for Trump. Conservatives condemn Christy Nome for, quote, twisted admission of killing dog. Revelation, in new book that possible Trump running mate killed untrainable hunting dog prompts widespread revulsion. Conservative pundits have condemned the South Dakota governor and possible Trump running mate Christy Nome amid widespread horror over her admission in a new book that she killed both an untrainable dog and an unruly goat during a single day in hunting season. So she couldn't find anything to kill, so she kills her fucking dog and the goddamn goat. Alyssa Faria Griffin, a Trump White House staffer turned critic, said, "I'm a dog lover, and I am honestly horrified at the Christy Nome excerpt. I wish I haven't even read it. A 14-month-old dog is still a puppy and can be trained. A large part of bad behavior as dogs is not having proper training from humans." That's 100% true. Quote, "Dogs are a gift from God. They're a reflection of his unconditional love. Anyone who would needlessly hurt an animal because they are inconvenient needs help." I agree with that statement. I mean, I'm not a God guy, but I love dogs. I think they're amazing. Anyway, goes on and on and on. Who knows? You know, you tell me if this is a negative or a positive for the Trumpers and nowadays. This this could ruin her chances with Trump. It might not. I don't know. He might go with her because he thinks she's hot. Yeah, you remind me of my wife. Make sure you wear tight dresses. Yeah. That's what they like. They like tight dresses. You know, you never know with Trump, man. Can't do what you want. Use the mouse here. Wait, what's that? You can't, do what you want. Here's the mouse. I'm sure. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kim Goblin. I got it. I'm fucking limping along here. Oh God. Okay, hold on. So hold on. All right, here. Okay, then just go down. Need to X. See, I can't highlight it. Oh. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this. Hold on. Because guys, another gay person has been found guilty of diddling a kid. Didn't you hear? Oh no. Okay, well the joke, and this ruins my timing because of course it does. It has to pull the article. But no, I was just kidding. It's not a gay person. It's actually a right winger who is, right winger Republican politician caught sexually assaulting a child. So we'll let that download. Different story about the right-wing Republicans. The Washington State Republican Convention supports restrictions on voting and opposes making our nation, quote, more democratic. They're just openly going up against democracy. One GOP delegate, quote, "We are devolving into a democracy. because congressmen and senators are elected by the same pool. We do not want to be a democracy. So I don't know, guys, they're kind of telling us who they are, guys. You know, they're kind of giving us a big earful on who they are. This was, these weren't crackpots outside of the convention. These were participants, GOP delegates. We do not want to be a democracy. Pretty frightening stuff. I think they're off the spectrum of sexuality rather than their attractive powers. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's gross. The point that's being made, though, is that this idea that, this connection between gay people and pedophilia, it's totally insane. It's political. There's no proof to it. In fact, the statistics, the evidence, you're more likely to get, diddled by your super straight right-wing Republican uncle than you are by your super gay left-wing, gay uncle. The statistics are pretty clear. Okay, looks like our article is finally done. I can show you this. Republican under investigation for allegedly sexually assaulting a child. Zach Shriver, the 2nd District Supervisor of Kern County in California, has been arrested after allegedly sexually assaulting one of his children, according to a Kern County Sheriff's Office report. Shriver was left with non-threatening injuries after being stabbed twice in a physical altercation. His attorney had denied the allegation of sexual abuse, so he probably, tried to do something to a teenage daughter. Daughter was having none of it. Probably been ongoing for a while. So anyway, they get into the details. Nasty shit. And who wants to bet that this guy, he probably had campaign commercials about how he was going to stand up against, LGBTQ predators and all this and that. Happy to lie, throw gay people under the bus for his politics. Meanwhile, he's the real predator we have to worry about. The guy on the left, I believe, in blue. not the two guys there. I feel bad for this picture. So, moving on. Just need to get to the X. Oh, it's not even highlighting the X anymore. Oh, Serenity now. There it is. Okay, Serenity now with this. Oh, it's the worst. I hate this, guys. This sucks. This sucks. Oh, let me close it. There it is. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have to talk about this, guys. Another big win for the Democrats. Speech has consequences. Sure, if someone called me a pitiful being gay, we should abduct them. Yeah, well, I mean, I do think it should be, I don't know about hate crime, but I don't think it's cool that, it's kind of a slur. Control W, okay. It's kind of a slur to, it's like assuming every black person is a thief. You start hiding everything. Like it's like you can't exactly call the cops on it, but it's really not cool. It's really not cool either. It's kind of like that thing. It's kind of like that, where it's really, really not cool, because as I said, the statistics don't match the reality. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. By the way, if you have been sticking around, I do appreciate it. My feet are fucking ice cubes, frozen, but I appreciate you guys sticking around. One last Democrat dub, because I'm just trying to be fair and balanced, TM. Just trying to be fair, keep it real. That, go figure, wow, surprise. In the election season, the Democrats are pulling out some pretty good policy. Stuff that I think we can say unquestionably we would not see from the neoliberal, or from the Republicans, from the conservatives. We would not see this kind of stuff. Sound of freedom! But we can say without a doubt. Yeah, exactly. I'm fucking freezing, dude. But no, there's no way the conservatives would do this. In fact, they would probably do the opposite. So what am I talking about? Airlines, and once again, I wish I had my soundboard, but airlines now have to, I think I talked about this last stream, airlines now have to, if they lose your luggage, they got to compensate you. If the flight is late, they have to compensate you. If you want a refund, they have to fucking compensate you. They can't lock it down and make you jump through a bunch of hoops to get your money back. Totally abuse you as a consumer. So big dub coming in election season, of course. But let's see this. Let's talk about this a little bit here because we just to be fair, I just got to be fair. Oh God. Oh Oh, this is a nightmare. I can't see my fucking mouse. Okay, God damn it. Look, hold on. All right. Stream might go out for a second. I'm gonna log out and log back in. This is driving me too fucking crazy. I'll be right back. There it is. We back.